today we're going to talk about roots. We're going to learn how to harvest roots. We're going to make our own root cellar out of just normal stuff from your house. And we're going to learn how to make a root vegetable broth for yummy winter time. Right now we are going to learn how to harvest our root crops. We've got some beets here. We've got a bunch of carrots. Now we're going to take our finger, okay? We're going to put it down right around the base. And as you can see, with these two carrots right here, you can actually see the orange part here. It's about a ½ inch across. Another way to help you determine if your carrot is ready to harvest is the thickness of the actual green part. This is pretty thick. This is about, you know, a ½ inch across. So this guy is ready to go. So we're gonna pull this out. I'm gonna pull both of these guys out. A key element in harvesting these root crops is to remember to harvest them a couple days after we've had some sunny weather. This will allow the root crops to dry, and as you can see, these beets, they're not quite ready to go. So your beet actually, you would like your beet to be about 1 inch across in diameter. We have just harvested our carrots. We've also harvested these beets. Take a look at this beet. Look how huge this guy is. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna prepare our root crops for the root cellar. So first thing first, we need to take off all the greens. So let's start there. Let's pull off all of our greens. Remember, you can eat the greens off of the carrots. I have a fabulous carrot green soup. I'm gonna put that up on my website. Check it out. Okay, we're taking the stems off of these big beets. Remember, beet greens are great in salads. You can use a beet green as you would a spinach. I have a great beet green enchilada that I will also put up on the website. You've got to try it. You're going to absolutely love it. My kids adore it. All right, we're just about done here. We want to remember to take the greens off. We do not want to slice any part of the root. Once you slice a part of the root, that means the root is open and exposed and can get infected or can cause rot. We're going to make our root cellar now. So these are the items that we are going to need. We are going to need our garbage can, some straw, our root crops, and some gravel. See, I have a metal garbage can. Now, you can use anything in your house. You do not need to go out and buy something. You can use a cardboard box. You could use an oversized Tupperware. You could use a wooden crate. I've been using wooden crates for a couple of years now for my root cellars, and they work great. So again, use what you have at home. You do not need to go out and buy something. We're first gonna add some pebbles, rocks, into our container. The reason for the gravel is to wick away any moisture. We are now going to start adding our root crops. It's very important to remember to do only 1 layer of root crops at a time. We do not want any of the root crops to be touching each other also. So I kind of use the rule of thumb, doing about 5 or 6 beets like so. We are now going to layer our straw. We're going to do about 4 inches of straw over each layer of roots. Now, for a second, I would like to talk to you guys about the different materials that you can use. If you do not have straw, obviously I have straw. I have 20+ chickens, so the chickens love the straw. But if you do not have straw, you can use wood shavings, you can use old dried corn stalks, anything that is going to keep stuff dry, okay? So we're first going to start by doing this. This is not rocket science by any stretch, but we do want to have a number of layers in between the crops. That might be a little too much. Down in the bottom, they have been layered nicely. So now we're going to continue to add more crops. So now we're going to put our carrots in there. can obviously add many more carrots than beets because they're smaller. And we're gonna add some more straw over the top of that. It doesn't take too much straw in between the layers. And now our final layer of beets. Continue putting all of our beets in there. And then we're gonna top it off with another big extra layer of straw. Like so. Now, just like compost, we need airflow going through our root cellar. So we do not need to put a top on here. We're gonna keep it just like this. You know, in the wintertime, the snow is gonna come down. And remember, if there's a bunch of snow on top and it's really cold out and your crops freeze, that's okay. Just de-thaw them in the kitchen, use them up, have fun with it, but you don't want to put them back in here after they have been frozen and unthawed. You need to remember to put your root cellar in a cool location. That's very, very important. If you'll remember, last week we planted radishes and carrots for our winter crop. You can take a look at them. They are growing very nicely, but they're very thick. Now we need to thin these out because as they start to grow, they are going to compete for space in the ground. If there's too many here and there's not enough space, the carrots will not grow, nor will the radishes. So I am going to go through here, as you can see, and you want to pick out the baby ones that are not doing so well. These radishes that I'm pointing to right now are about 2 weeks old. Now these ones down here are only 4 or 5 days old. Radishes grow very fast. It takes about 2.5 weeks from seed to popping that in your mouth. So you need to remember every week, about every 7 to 10 days, to replant your radishes. You also want to replant your carrots and your lettuce. These are called cash crops. A cash crop is a crop that goes from seed to table in a very short period of time. So you need to continue to replant these all the time. I replant radishes, lettuce, and carrots, even beets, about every 7 to 10 days here at Urban Backyard Farm. If you guys can remember from last week, we were talking about our tomatoes. We were talking about how we need to cut off the extra branches and leaves to allow energy to go to the tomatoes to ripen them up. And if you remember, I was telling you that you can easily take off those branches and you can stick them in soil as I have. Now take a look at this. I'm pulling on this. It's rooted, just like I showed you last week. And if you look really closely, it's got little baby flowers. Now hopefully we will get enough warm weather in the northwest here in September and October for this little guy to put off some tomatoes. We are now approaching the fall. We need to remember that all of our squash are still going crazy right now. They're going to be putting off lots and lots of flowers. But as the days start to shorten, we need to remember that we're not going to get quite as much sun. So you're going to want to start to cut back these huge leaves. Look at these leaves. These leaves are not doing anything at all. This allows more light to get into your crops, which then in turn allows more harvest. And that is what we all want, right? A bigger harvest. We are going to make vegetable stock out of kitchen scraps. As you can see in here, I have old pieces of onions, I've got old tomato pieces, squash, everything. My family, obviously we like to eat vegetables here. So what I have done is I have taken a gallon Ziploc bag. Every time I have cut up a vegetable and I have discarded the skins or the tops or the bottoms, I have put it into this bag. I have then put this bag into my freezer. Once it gets full like this, I'm ready to go. We're gonna put our frozen veggies onto this baking sheet. Like so. And don't worry too much. The point of putting them on this baking sheet is that we are then gonna put them in the oven to roast them. Remember, roasting vegetables brings out their sugar. It makes them richer, more flavorful. We are now going to take our baking sheet that has all of our frozen vegetables on it into our oven at 400 degrees. This is going to go in the oven for about 25 minutes. We are going to fill a stew pot up with water all the way to the top. We're going to put it on high. We're going to bring it to a boil. Now, once our vegetables come out of the oven, we're going to place our roasted vegetables in this water. We will then add some herbs and let this simmer for about 40 minutes. Now that our water has come to a boil, we are going to add some herbs. First, some sage. We're just going to pop those right on in there. And some rosemary and some thyme. We're going to just kind of stir that around a little bit, okay? Now we are going to add our roasted vegetables. Remember, you do not want to cut up your vegetables because that releases some of the flavor, and we do not want any of the flavor released at all until it gets into this water. So this has all kinds of vegetables. It has peppers, tomatoes, cucumber, onion, carrots, leeks. Very yummy. This will go great over rice, in a stew or a soup. My kids love it over brown rice. It's very yummy. It's very rich for a nice winter soup. The reason it's so rich is because it has been roasted. That is the key to a rich tasting vegetable, is to roast it because it brings the sugar and the flavor out in the vegetable. Now we are going to have this sit in here in our boiling water for about 25 to 30 minutes. Once that is all done, we are going to strain our vegetables out and we are set. This can go into the freezer. This lasts in the freezer for about 6 to 8 months. Now in the refrigerator, it will last about 3 to 4 weeks. Just think about it. You have made fresh vegetable stock from your leftover scraps that you would normally throw away. This is free, completely free. One of my favorite words. We are all done with our vegetable broth. Take a look at this. This is what you're gonna get. Now remember, this can go in the fridge and be great for 7 to 10 days, or you can freeze it and it can be in the freezer for 6 to 8 months. Just think, it's free. It's vegetable broth from your kitchen scraps. How great is that? If you will take a look at this broccoli, this is a great fall crop. You need to get your fall crops in the ground now. Now is the time to plant cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage, carrots, and beets. Get those guys in the ground. Today we have talked about how to harvest your root crops, how to store your root crops, how to use your root crops, and now you need to get your fall root crops into the ground. Do it, come on. Have a great day. From my garden to your garden. Stay green. Bye guys.